Hello there guys, Bilbo10000 here, bringing you another Twitter theory video for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Last episode, I asked you guys to send in your Twitter theories using the hashtag BBTT, which stands for Billy Bay Twitter Theory, and some of you did just that. I got an interesting Undertale thread that I definitely want to showcase to you guys at some point, but today, as you may have guessed from the title of this video, we've got a much bigger target in mind. But before we get to today's video, I just want to say thank you to all my wonderful subscribers, Patreons, and supporters. January through March was a really tough time for me in the channel, but with my focus on 2 videos a day and going back to my roots, I really feel like April is gonna be a great month for me. And if you're interested in some old school Billy content, my Minecraft Ant Farm Survival series is currently 7 episodes long, going strong. It's a daily uploaded series and is a great set of videos to just listen to while doing some work. It'll be 20 episodes long and it finishes on the 19th. Now's the best time to catch up. 2012 never felt so close. Click the card in the top right corner if you're interested. Okay, so let's get to today's target, ERDRICK. ERDRICK from Dragon Quest III, and today's Twitter thread comes courtesy of Starb, @TheStarbDude, who has compiled the biggest Twitter thread I've ever seen about the reasons why ERDRICK isn't as likely as we all think he is. So, let's read through this gargantuan beast and take a look at the points as we cover them. So first up, we open with this simple tweet: ERDRICK in Smash Ultimate and why it's not as likely as you think it is. A TED Talk by yours truly. Can't wait for this to be shot down then bashed by his fans, lol. Initiate the shit show. Firstly, respect. This thread is instantly made better because it uses the TED Talk meme, but naturally, if the thread doesn't finish with "thank you for reading my TED Talk," my day will be immeasurably ruined. In all seriousness though, I'm excited. Let's get into this. Alright, well, let's start off positively. He's got a few points going for him. Square Enix seems interested in promoting Dragon Quest in the West. Japan fucking loves Dragon Quest III in particular, see below. Dragon Quest III is the best-selling in the series. Dragon Quest XI's is coming to Switch and is the definitive edition. All completely valid points, and on the poll shown here, the only game above Dragon Quest III is Persona 5, who has a character in Smash, so some good positive information here. But then, the Fire Nation attacked. Okay, now here comes the shit show. ERDRICK has started gaining notoriety around the Smash community since about November, when we were given the go-ahead on Dragon Quest by leakers. But consider this, literally none of them are credible. It's hard for me to act like I know everything because I don't. However, Hitagi saying no Atlas reps is incredibly telling of his credibility. Dragon Quest was only also backed by Zenitha, who has also gotten a whole lot of nothing right thus far, and Leaky Pandy, which writes itself. Starb also provides a picture of a post that summarized all of Hitagi's Smash predictions. For those not in the know, Hitagi gained notoriety towards the end of the pre-game release hype cycle when checking information with Vergaben, the guy who guessed the base roster. The big takeaway though is that Hitagi says not to expect an Atlas rep, only for Joker to then be revealed soon after, effectively killing Hitagi's potential credibility regarding Smash leaks specifically. It's also worth noting, insiders started backing a list of characters before Joker, however it never gained much traction. This list included Tales of, Town, Melmetal, Dragon Quest, and Steve. Town, Melmetal, and Tales were all leak bait. Steve has henceforth been deconfirmed. Now, whether Steve was actually disconfirmed or not is a contentious topic, and both myself and Papagenos have made videos on the subject, so I'll refer you to the pair of them, which you can find in the description. Top that onto the fact that Square has been known to debate leakers pretty hard, and the fact that ERDRICK and Luminary were heard the most of any other Square character on the list, it's very possible this has all been an incredibly elaborate bait. Dragon Quest has always performed poorly in the West. ERDRICK is left in a weird spot because of that. He's not the first one, he's not the most recent one, he's the most popular of a franchise only Japan cares about, it seems counterintuitive for a widespread audience. Now, these are actually issues I've brought up regarding ERDRICK because, while I've heard of the Dragon Quest series throughout the years, ERDRICK was only ever a name I heard on GameXplain prediction videos and almost nowhere else. Hell, I didn't even realize there was a demand for Dragon Quest to get into Smash, like, at all, especially in comparison to other franchises. Would ERDRICK sell? I mean, I'm a casual fan, I'm pretty much the target fan base, and the basic gamers as well, so that really is the main issue that ERDRICK has here. ERDRICK has never had any support. Japan likes Dragon Quest III, but they hardly care about ERDRICK. Take, for instance, this poll. Slime is at 15, Monster Hunter, also wildly popular in Japan, at 20, but ERDRICK is nowhere to be seen. Slime in of itself is a massive wall in ERDRICK's way. I've heard Armor Project and Square have a huge bias for this thing, and he was even put into Sports Mix and Fortune Street on Square's own accord. Slime is like the Pikachu or Agumon of Dragon Quest. Now, and this is coming from a non-Dragon Quest fan, but Slime, despite being the franchise mascot, the most iconic character in the series, would he really translate well into Smash? Moveset-wise, does he have a fully fleshed out set of abilities, and given he has no limbs, would him needing to bounce around be too difficult to implement as a fighter? Those are just questions that I have to think about when people say that Slime is the most likely pick. I just don't see Slime as a fighter, or an obstacle even. If anything, I'd give that spot to the Luminary from the newest game, as we've seen with Joker from Persona 5, that the newest protagonist could easily get the focus. It seems unlikely that Slime, a commonly recognized character even to foreign regions, would be passed over for a generic protagonist, let alone one who is only important to the lore of a franchise, not its legacy. The little fucker's even got his own series of spin-offs! ERDRICK himself has not been playable since the 1980s at Dragon Quest III's launch if you don't count ports, and negotiations are always brought up to denounce characters, but ERDRICK in Dragon Quest as a whole has it rough. Bird Studios, Armor Project, Square Enix, Akira Toriyama, Koichi Sugiyama, that's 5 whole parties needed to be in the discussions. Now, while I agree that 5 different parties being involved in negotiations would be somewhat brutal, is it not fair to say that Nintendo has probably already had to negotiate with all of these parties to get Dragon Quest XI onto the Switch in the first place? If those negotiations regarding Dragon Quest XI were already happening, and with how willing the companies are to make the Switch edition the definitive edition of the game, would it not be a stretch to say that this could also apply to Smash Bros? Though I will freely admit when it comes to music tracks, as we will discover later, it may not be that simple, and we did bring this up in an earlier video, I think in January or February. Armor Project and Square Enix have ownership over Dragon Quest, somewhat akin to Atlus and Sega and Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. They make it and own it, but it's published and on a larger scale owned by Square Enix. Akira Toriyama owns the character design as well. He's been prone to cause issues with his characters pretty much not being the main shit in crossovers as far as I know. He also played a part in the near shutdown of Dragon Ball FighterZ. However, and here is a counterpoint, wasn't a Dragon Quest character just added into Jump Force, which is this shonen crossover thing? I mean, obviously, Akira Toriyama has his own characters like Goku and the Dragon Ball characters in there, but even so, kind of same point, you know? Same point. Koichi Sugiyama is easily the biggest problem here, though, and trust me, it's a massive problem. Final Fantasy had 2 songs. We'd be lucky to get 1 MIDI of a song from Dragon Quest. Sugiyama is a massively controversial figure. He's a known homophobe and Holocaust denier, and it's also taken him over 30 years to finally give the West a proper Dragon Quest soundtrack. Now, look at me and tell me with a straight face, family-friendly Nintendo is gonna want to deal with that. Technically, Nintendo probably has already had to deal with that, given Dragon Quest is coming to Switch in the first place. I don't appreciate the man's views, I mean, I'm gay, so of course I'm not gonna. But with Dragon Quest already coming to the console, there's no doubt this guy was a part of the negotiations to probably publish the game, seeing as his soundtrack is in the game. Compare that to the other popular Square rep, Sora. Sora is co-owned by Disney and Square, who have both stated they're open to it. Yoko Shimomura is already on the music team and has been contributing remixes to Smash for a long while, and Nomura and Sakurai are friends as well. Nomura and Sakurai have even talked about Kingdom Hearts and mentioned doing another collaboration or project together. And this is a point I discussed in my Sora Twitter theory video the other day, which you can find linked in the top right corner. But Sora definitely feels like the easier character to negotiate for out of the two at a customary glance. Now let's get to the real meat and potatoes. Brave. Brave is a codename that was found in the data for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate under the Fighters category next to Pakun and Jack, Piranha Plant and Joker, respectively. Brave, as a codename, literally cannot be ERDRICK. As proven by this Instagram post people thought was a hard confirmation of ERDRICK, Brave is a way of referring to ERDRICK. This is the same as putting Akira or Ren as Joker's codename. Now, here is where I don't actually agree with this thread, because Brave could still very well be used as the codename for ERDRICK here. It doesn't matter if it's how he's referred to. We don't know 100% how they handle the codenames for each fighter, and what constitutes a codename or what doesn't. I feel like the logic here is a little confusing, and I don't really understand what the point is being made here. Off topic, but it's entirely possible this post also breaks NDA, however, this point is potentially flimsy and should not be used as a means of hard fact denying ERDRICK's presence in the game. It is merely a possibility. Now, let's consider Brave's height and stats. As provided by Mizumi, Brave is floaty, slides when turning, and is about Mario's height. This does not support ERDRICK whatsoever, in fact, completely goes against him. Brave's height, despite most likely being a placeholder, actually supports Banjo and Sora. For those unaware as to what this is referring to, a few months ago Mizumi provided a data-mined look at how the Brave character moved in-game, and it was a large point in Sora's favor when everyone was assuming it was between him and ERDRICK. Now the argument for Kid ERDRICK, let me give it to you straight. This design has not been used in North America ever. This design was used for the original launch of Dragon Quest III on the Famicom, and never again. The only art or merch of him are the original Toriyama drawings. This modern design has actually been around since Dragon Quest III's launch, and instead it was used for merchandising and other promotional material, such as posters for the game's launch in North America, and it's also worth noting it's impossible for female ERDRICK or Luminary skins with Kid ERDRICK. That is correct, that is true, because Kid ERDRICK is completely different proportions and sizes. I didn't even think Kid ERDRICK was even on the table though, to be fair. I don't think anyone was really throwing that one out there as an argument, and if they were, I completely missed it. Now here is where I'm sure some of you are going to get excited, because Brave has been speculated to be Banjo, and it's worth noting that the stats back that up. The slide is characteristically Banjo-Kazooie, and the floatiness and height fits perfectly. I'm almost positive at this point Brave is none other than the bear and bird. Now once again, I'd like to point out it could still be Sora, as both characters fit the statistics to the T here, but if it is Banjo, a lot of people are certainly going to be very happy, though I'd have to wonder what the Brave codename would be referring to when dealing with the pair. Luminary or Slime work far better as picks for Dragon Quest. Luminary helps promote the latest game, and by its launch will be the new face of Dragon Quest, akin to how Joker is for Persona. Slime is the mascot of Dragon Quest and has his own spin-offs. ERDRICK's importance to Dragon Quest is also way overstated. He's not important at all. In Dragon Quest I, the main character is his descendant, and he is very relevant to the plot. In Dragon Quest III, he's playable. In Dragon Quest I and Dragon Quest IX, he has an armor set. And in Dragon Quest XI, he's teased at the end. That's it. ERDRICK is important to the lore of Dragon Quest, not its legacy. Think of it this way. He's not the Cloud or Joker of Dragon Quest, because those were characters that shaped the way their franchises evolved. Dragon Quest III, from my knowledge, did not drastically change anything about Dragon Quest. He is generally unimportant to how Dragon Quest evolved, as unimportant as the second protagonist, or the fourth, or even the 10th. Really, he only appeals to hardcore Dragon Quest fans, which in of itself is a hardcore part of the JRPG fanbase outside of Japan. Finally, Sakurai has mentioned wanting to give each newcomer a personality of their own and ways to be unique to stand out. ERDRICK has magic, a sword, and a shield. To the average player, he'll be Robin with a shield that looks like Goku. Compare this to Slime, who has tons of potential to be a unique character and appeal to far more people. This is why we only saw one sword fighter this time around, who was Chrom. It's also important that Chrom was heavily requested and he was an Echo fighter. Which leaves us with Sora, who after all this, I am led to believe, is in fact our Square rep. Nomura and Sakurai are good friends and mentioned a collab. Kingdom Hearts has been rumored to come to Switch. Kingdom Hearts 3 shattered records within literally a week. I really believe this is the case. And that's that. Thank you for reading. I'm open to discussion if you want to talk or have any questions. First things first, he did not end it with thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I am absolutely devastated. My day is ruined. So what are your guys' thoughts on that, Fred? Because good god, that was massive. There are a lot of convincing arguments that could potentially be pointing towards ERDRICK not being our DLC character, but is it convincing to you guys? Leave your thoughts down below. As for myself, while I desperately want to believe ERDRICK is not the next DLC character simply because I'd personally rather get anybody else, I've conditioned myself to expect the worst, and I still think ERDRICK is definitely a viable contender, as while a majority of these arguments are legitimate, the fact is Dragon Quest XI being on the Switch is a massive point towards negotiations having been taken place for that franchise to exist on the console, and parties would have had to be involved for the port to take place, so why not Smash as well? So anyway, thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a Twitter theory you want to see covered in a video? Tweet me with the hashtag BBTT and leave your theories. The more detailed, the better. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.